Justin Turner overdrive third baseman lifts Dodgers to walk-off win, 2-0 NLCS lead. Los Angeles, it's easy to become obsessed about starting pitchers in October because they are the one element that changes from day to day, a predictable talking point through which we can evaluate an upcoming game. And yet, in 2017, they have a dwindling impact on the outcome. Before Sunday night's second game of the National League Championship Series, starters had barely thrown half the innings pitched in this postseason. So this game began not when lefties Rich Hill of the Los Angeles Dodgers and John Lester of the Chicago Cubs worked through the lineup for the first time. It began when Dodgers manager Dave Roberts lifted Hill for a pinch hitter in the bottom of the fifth, and when Cubs manager Joe Maddon emerged from the dugout, pointed to the bullpen, and called for right-hander Carl Edwards Jr. The moves by Roberts and Maddon were textbook in the postseason. The advantage, though, swung hard toward the Dodgers. The Dodgers won Game 2, 4-1, because Justin Turner launched a walk-off, 3-run homer against career starter John Lackey in the bottom of the ninth. But they have a hold of the series as it heads to Chicago because, in beating the Cubs twice in 2 nights at Dodger Stadium, their relief pitchers were, quite literally, unhittable. Success for the Cubs against the Dodger bullpen came by way of a hit batsman. The other 24 hitters Los Angeles relievers faced, they were all retired. Turner's moment was the first walk-off homer in the postseason for the Dodgers since, you guessed it, Kirk Gibson's legendary shot off Oakland closer Dennis Eckersley in Game 1 of the 1988 World Series, 29 years ago to the very date. And it capped an evening in which Maddon turned to Lackey, who has 448 career regular season appearances, just 2 out of the bullpen, instead of his closer, Wade Davis, who is available. And so, the Cubs head home, trailing 2-0. Worse, this feels like a mismatch. Lester is 33, yet somehow seems older, not because his performance has slipped, but because he has appeared in so many Octobers as a primary factor. He has been pitching in the postseason for a decade, dating back to his days as a Red Sox rookie, when he started and won the clinching game of the 2007 World Series. Sunday night was his 25th appearance in a postseason game, his 21st start, for the moment one more than CC Sabathia of the Yankees as the leader among active players. But even his most significant contribution to the Cubs' playoff run this year was a 3 2/3 inning stint, out of the bullpen, in the 4th game of Chicago's division series victory over Washington. No, the Cubs didn't win that game, falling to Steven Strasburg's gem. But his mere presence allowed Maddon to avoid the Cubs' soft underbelly. Chicago relievers entered Game 2 with a 7.08 ERA in their 6 games of the postseason. Edwards, a key setup man all season for Davis, had walked the past 3 men he had faced over 2 appearances. Lefty Mike Montgomery, who famously recorded the last out of last year's World Series, had pitched 2 innings and allowed 5 runs. Between series, the Cubs decided to add former closer Hector Rondon to the roster, and he allowed a homer on the second pitch he threw in Game 1. "We need to pitch better out of the bullpen," Maddon said before Sunday's game. "That's part of our success moving forward. We've been running pretty good out of the pen, over the course of the season." Montgomery and C.J. Edwards were involved in a World Series victory last year in extra innings. That's pretty significant. So when guys struggle, I know everybody wants to open up a new can of relief pitchers. But that's not how it works. So, too, is handling the Dodger relievers. For the second straight night, Roberts had no hesitation in taking his starter out after 5 innings. In Game 1, it was ace Clayton Kershaw, who had allowed 2 runs. In Game 2, it was Hill, who had efficiently worked through the Cubs lineup, retiring 12 of 13 before Addison Russell's leadoff homer in the 5th. Hill's line, 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, a run, a walk and 8 strikeouts, is the modern version of a quality postseason start, particularly in the National League. He didn't get deep into the game, and the Dodgers never designed the game for him to do that. Rather, he kept them close, and when Justin Turner delivered a two-out single off Lester in the bottom of the fifth, scoring Charlie Culberson, the starters were done, essentially having done their jobs by the parameters of what their clubs expect. Los Angeles turned first to right-hander Brandon Morrow, and when he was done with his night, the Cubs had to be further demoralized. In Game 1, 5 Dodger relievers, Tony Singrini, Kenta Maeda, Morrow, Tony Watson and closer Kenley Jansen, retired all 12 Cubs they faced. Morrow plowed through the Cubs again on Saturday, needing just 18 pitches to sit down all 6 Cubs he faced before turning it over to Josh Fields and, again, Watson. By the time the 8th was over, Dodger relievers had retired all 21 Cubs they had faced over 2 nights. And then, with the score still tied at 1 headed to the 9th, Roberts turned the dial to 11 by bringing in Jansen. No National League reliever was harder to reach base against than Jansen, and none struck out a higher percentage of the batters he faced. He was in the game because Kris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo were the Cubs' first 2 hitters, and Roberts wanted to keep those 2 stars in the funk with which they have started the series. Jansen blew away Bryant, but then slipped a bit, hitting Rizzo with a pitch. His response? A strikeout of Wilson Contreras and a grounder by Albert Almora Jr. to end the frame. That left it to the offense. Brian Duensing opened the frame with a walk of Seo Pug, and after a sacrifice and a strikeout, on came Lackey. Where was Davis? Who knows? Lackey's 2 hitters, a walk to Chris Taylor, and Turner's blast to center. The Dodgers' advantage is real. On Sunday night, they had the